Hey guys, it's the weekend and we're here again,
Okay.
preparing for y'all for Monday. How do y'all feel?
Hmm. She's in her feelings.
Okay?
You in your feelings?
Like, are we feeling stuff here? And that's one of the main things that we experience in life, right?
Yes.
Is feelings. That's how we know we are experiencing it,
And some
But-
of y'all are afraid of that.
That part, like what does that look like when you're actually feeling your feelings?
Okay. Well, before we even dive into that and give you our tea on that, go ahead and like and subscribe if you have not already. We appreciate the support to the new viewers out there. Look at
All
y'all.
right.
Look at you learning something new. We love
We
that for
appreciate
you.
y'all.
Okay, so back to the feels. She and her feelings, you and your feelings, everybody's feeling. And that's what the one thing we were talking about too with, the grand experience of life, the schooling of life.
Yes.
The thing we cannot bypass.
Yes.
Feelings.
Is the feelings. That's how we know we're angry. That's how we know we're feeling guilty. That's how we know we're sad, lonely, whatever the case might be. There's this, intense feeling that we're feeling. But the one thing that as people,
Yes.
we always do, right,
Uh-huh.
is distract ourselves from these feelings. We're so used to distraction.
Exactly. And that common saying is coming to mind where it says you have to go through it, right? You can't go past it, you have to go through it.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of us don't even know what that looks like in terms of going through it because we are distracted, we're not paying attention to it. So that's why we're here to help y'all in terms of figuring out how to feel your feelings.
Yes. It's definitely a skill that gives you a one-up on people who are not capable of, controlling their feelings and they lash out.
Okay.
And it's giving me child tantrum,
That
because
part.
they're feeling something intense, but they're not able to express it.
Mm-hmm.
And we do not want that for us. We want emotional intelligence, y'all.
Okay.
So how about we go through some of the ways to help you feel your feelings so that when you're feeling that feeling in your chest, that like something weighing heavy on you, this is how you go through the process. You take yourself through the mental process of processing it.
That part. And the first one is paying attention to your body.
Mm-hmm.
Body, yada, yada. Yeah,
Okay.
well, Meg was right about that. The body is your first indication
Absolutely.
of what you're feeling.
Mhm.
And we're saying it's not just when you're going through a heightened emotional state, okay? We're not saying pay attention to your body when you say your face is all flushed and your heart is all pumping. No, pay attention to the subtle cues too.
Mhm.
When you are relaxed, when you are feeling it through, because all of that indication and that range of that is what's giving you a better aspect of what it is. Like we'll say, oh well, I guess it's not a big deal because I'm not like pumped up about it, you know what I mean? Or then you are pumped up, well, I guess this is a bigger deal than I thought.
Yeah.
Because I am feeling this on a heavier scale than what I originally thought it was.
Right.
So paying attention to your body is going to be a huge aspect in that.
Number one key, y'all. The next one here is focus on exploring your feelings rather than escaping them, okay? And like I was saying before, we find many ways to distract ourselves from actually dissecting what we're feeling. We rather, just numb it out or avoid it. But that's just the worst thing we can do because when you avoid it, it comes back. And when it comes back intensified, right? So don't avoid what you're feeling. Actually sit with yourself. If you're feeling sick, that something happened, say you're feeling sick, and express it. Okay, if you're angry about something, don't pretend you ain't angry.
All right.
Be like, nah, I'm actually upset. Like, this pissed me off.
Okay.
Because then when you hold it in, you're going to go home or wherever you go to, and it's going to come out on somebody who didn't even deserve that.
Oh, yeah.
So feel it, say it, express it.
Ooh, I love that. Okay. Booyah. And like, guys, the other way to feel your feelings is definitely naming it without judging it. And that is huge for all of us who have been in the spiritual journey, who is new to it and not exploring it. You gotta give yourself that safe space. Because the moment, say, you're feeling anger, now you're like, crap, I shouldn't be feeling angry about this. Well, no, we're not judging the feeling. It is human nature. We're here having a human experience, and part of that is to go through your emotions without judgment. that also helps you be able to separate your feelings, the expression, from your identity. You're not an angry person at this moment in time. You're just having anger issues.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or you're having it's an emotional state of being that is like waves you go through them. So you're not labeling yourself as this person. I'm an angry person. No, you're just angry in the moment, and that is okay. You know, like feel it and like disidentify from it in terms of don't make it you. And then that way we could get to the bottom of that problem of like, why did I feel this way? You know?
Your feelings.
Yeah.
I like that. The next one here, guys, is to identify the root cause of the feeling. Now, this may be a little tricky, okay? Because it may not be something you notice right away as for what the cause is. Oftentimes, we think the most recent thing that happened is the cause. Like this person saying something and it's just like, oh, now all of a sudden you lash out or you feel intense feelings about something they said, when the root cause might have started before. Something that happened maybe weeks before, months before. You get what I'm saying? So just because like right now you met up to your cap of it and it's just like, I've had enough, and you turn into Super Saiyan, that does not mean this moment in time is where this starts. So you might need to do a little bit of homework here, guys. Because when it comes to feelings, like I think about it as like things that is squared or quadrupled or like it's compounds until you feel the entire feeling in its entirety.
Yes, and we're not wanting to do that.
Yeah.
Which is what leads us to the next one, which is physically feel the feelings however you can. And that also too goes to in a space of non-judgmental state. If you are the type of person when you're feeling anger, you have to go and, I don't know, with that Rihanna song, go break dishes, you know, go to a boxing match or range where you start pitting. Yeah, like whether that includes screaming it out in the top of your lungs, you know, going to a remote place, whether that includes, you know, being physically active, we have to allow ourselves that space to physically feel it, however, which way we can show up for ourselves. And that, like I said, includes emotional release as well as physical release, because emotions and feelings are actually stored in our body, in our muscles. So I actually think about it as both is helpful. You know, don't just focus on the emotional aspect of it. Focus on that physical aspect of it too, because then you're thoroughly going through that process of that feeling and then thoroughly getting rid of it too, releasing it in a healthy, engaging, and active way.
Absolutely. And I'm glad you mentioned the physical portion of releasing it. And two, coupled with that, you need the emotional release of it as well, which leads us to the next one. And that is to find a healthy outlet for emotional release. Okay. And this process here is called emotional alchemy, guys. As far as processing our feelings, so basically it's like turning anger into creativity, you know, or turning anxiety into excitement, you know, or pain into forgiveness. These are ways to transmute the energy, because, you know, we can neither create or destroy it, but we can transmute it into something else. And one of my main, you know, my favorite one of that is turning pain into forgiveness, because I find that I'm able to navigate through life so much easier that way. And I'm able to let go of any pain that I hold in, because that's just a healthy way of processing it. You know, it's not denying it. It is acknowledging it and then realizing, okay, well, I need to do something with this negative energy.
Yes, and I love that you were saying that, because a lot of people do struggle with forgiveness, especially if they been wronged or they feel like, oh, I'm entitled to this type of feeling. But it's just like with what you're saying, you know, that actually hurts you more than the other person. So when you're forgiving, you're not forgiving them for them. You're forgiving it for you. You deserve to release that emotional
baggage.
That's holding you down.
Yeah. Absolutely, y'all. So these are like some of the, you know, ways to help you process your feelings and then releasing it, okay?
Yeah.
Now, I know this may not be enough information for us. Like, okay, some of us, we need more hands-on.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
one-on-one coaching type of way
Yeah.
to release this.
And also knowing like what type of feelings that there are out
Oh,
there.
yeah.
And the good thing about this that we want to bring up to your attention is The Secret Language of Feelings.
Oh, yeah.
By Calvin. He is a hypnotherapist and a certified instructor, right? So in his book, which is like, honestly, guys, do yourself a favor and go get it.
Absolutely.
He talks about the main primary feelings, which we have 8 of them.
Right.
And we're gonna mention a good 5 of them while we list the whole 8, because these are the main feelings that we deal through with life. You know, they are
day-to-day basis.
Yeah, the prominent ones where you get a handle of these. You'll be able to pretty much self-manage and self-coach.
Oh, yeah.
Become your own self-guru, which we want for you.
Yes.
Right?
But you know, there's 8 primary here. We're just gonna go over through like, you know, 5 or 6 of them. And because then what I love about this book is it tells you what the primary feelings are, and it also tells you why you're feeling these things. You know, so if that feel like that will help you narrow down as far as like when it comes to processing your feelings.
Yes.
Like, okay, this means this. What about this happened in my life? You know what I mean? That's like, okay. So yeah, we're just gonna run through like, you know, 5 or 6 of them.
Yeah. So let's go through what the primary feelings are. Like you have your boredom, anger, guilt, sadness, loneliness, inadequacy, stress, and fear. Right. So these are the main 8 feelings that we might be feeling throughout our life.
Yes.
So when we feel boredom, right, and we're thinking like, oh, what do I do with that? Well, with what we told you earlier about how to feel it, so you go through that whole process, right? And the feeling of boredom is basically helps you to grow through challenges.
Right.
So when we're feeling that, it's not to go, you know, do something.
Like, oh, nothing interests us in life. Like, life is dead.
Oh, so
it's
let me
more so a sign to show like, oh, you need a challenge in your life.
Exactly. So instead of going around, you know, going drinking, smoking, or doing anything that doesn't really add or challenge you in life, it's time to put those down and be like, how can I rise myself to that higher level to give myself a challenge in life?
Okay, that's it, y'all.
Yeah.
The next feeling here, primary feeling, is anger. And we experience anger when we need to experience fairness for self and others, okay? That usually is what triggers that feeling. So when you go over like the times in your life that when you're feeling angry, just really think about it like, oh, you know, like, where do I feel like someone wronged me? Or where do I feel like something was not fair, you know, or someone else was treated unfairly? Because these are kind of things that trigger that feeling of anger in you.
Wow. And following that is guilt. And when we're experiencing that, right, in our feelings, emotional state of being, it's because we have to be fair to others. You know,
that not being fair to others, which is what usually triggers that.
Exactly, because it's like a conscious response that we can't help. Like, shit, if you're feeling guilty about something, now you have to, you know, reflect on why do I feel guilty? Well, because there was an unfairness in the treatment of how you did to the other person, which honestly leads us to our prior video that we did, which we'll link up, because that will obviously lead to other, you know, overcompensating.
Oh, that part.
And certain things,
you know, ways that we hide the feeling of guilt, which brings back to the whole distraction from the feeling as well. We find many ways to distract ourselves instead of processing it and giving ourselves fault or others fault or whatever the case may be to kind of throw it under the rug.
Okay, check that video out if y'all have not already.
The next one here is sadness. And, you know, we experience sadness when we don't feel valued or we don't value certain things in people. So when we think of like, you know, oh my gosh, like, you know, I kind of feel low, you know, because I think of sadness and I equate it with like things like low self-esteem or like, you know, under the weather, not sick-wise, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
We have to think about ways to keep value things and people in our lives, to steer away from feeling of sadness.
Okay, and another primary feeling is loneliness, and a lot of you guys can relate, right? In loneliness, you do a lot of things that you're not supposed to.
Right.
Well, you're feeling loneliness because you have to have what you're lacking in your life is meaningful relationships, and you know that is also almost a you problem, because then you have to reflect on yourself and be like, how am I showing up for those around me? If I'm even showing up at all. If you're not, well, that's why you're feeling lonely. And if you are, but you're still feeling lonely, it's like, how do I effectively show up for myself and others?
Right.
Because as humans, we all value meaningful relationships. You know what I mean? It is what that human experience is about.
Yeah. And honestly, that leads right into the feelings of inadequacy.
Yes.
Okay. To feel good enough, to feel
Ooh.
adequate, besides keeping these, valued things and people in our lives and then having meaningful relationships, we also need to feel adequate for these people, that are giving us so much, are making us feel so good.
Okay.
So just remember when you're feeling feelings of adequacy, it's really about just finding the things that makes you feel good, instead of focusing on the lack thereof, because that's just a state of, it's a perspective thing, you know? If you focus on the positive things, the things that you are adequate and enough about, then you reassure yourself, like, what am I talking about? I'm actually pretty aight.
Exactly. And you're right. I love that you said that because it is also a you problem. You have to feel adequate to give a sense of adequacy. If I'm already coming in there like, oh, I don't feel like I'm important or I'm inadequate, well, you're already oozing that energy out to those around you. And they're going to pick it up and be like, well,
automatically they're going to look for things that are inadequate in you. Like, well, you are kind of right. You,
oops.
lack self-esteem, or you are...
Yeah, we pick all of these up in different, cues because we're all always sharing and exchanging, energy.
Yeah.
And so this book, like I said, is a very good book, and I recommend it. The Secret Language of Feelings, because y'all, we want better for your emotional well-being.
Yes.
Because
we want you to be able to communicate. There's too much of us out here to not know how to express ourselves to each other.
That part.
Too many stupid fights, too many stupid arguments that people can't let go of just because they haven't processed that feeling. And if you process it, then you are one step closer to letting it go, okay?
Oh my
Stop denying, stop distracting, stop avoiding, and
stop
just
suppressing.
Okay? Feel it. Feel it. It's okay.
Okay, and that's what we mean by you have to go through it, okay, to get to it. And because of all of this, feelings can do a huge, it can lead to physical disabilities or, illnesses in our bodies because we are harboring onto it.
Absolutely. And the people who knows what these illnesses, what causes these things.
Yeah.
Now you're walking around people who may know more about you than you know about yourself. Because the minute I see certain illnesses now, because of the books we're reading and everything, I already know, like, parts of your life, what you're going through, without really speaking to you. You get me? So, and that's how informative it can get when you know about these things.
Yes.
You know more about yourselves, and you're also able to pick up more things about other people too. And in that sense, you kind of see in the ways that, we're psychic as people.
Yes.
Because everything has a leading trail.
Exactly.
Everything.
Because we are sharing information, exchanging it through the ethers.
Yeah.
So what do you guys think? Like, how do you feel your feelings? You know, what are some of the recommendation and advice that you give to a fellow sister or brother? Because it is something that is very, these primary feelings especially are something that all of us can really relate to.
Absolutely.
That's why they're primary.
Exactly. And there's no denying. And for any of us who can say, I've never felt anger, or I've never felt inadequacy, call BS.
Okay, the lie detector test determined that was a lie.
Like, it's giving, that's probably your guilt right there. Like, stop lying. But this is what we do, guys. We show up here every week to help you find your journey back to your
soul, back to you.
Back to you. That's all we want for y'all.
Okay.
Discover yourselves.
Exactly. So thank you for the support. Like and subscribe if you have not already. Hit the bell for a notification. There we go. Okay, and we will see you guys next week. Bye.